What up, y'all? Welcome back to I Do It Myself. If it's one thing Russ know how to do, is start a conversation. When Russ get to talking, people get to listening. So Russ put up this tweet, right? And he put up this tweet, and I think a lot of people feel this way, but a lot of people disagree. Let me tell y'all why. So the tweet reads: Spotify, Spotify should remove public display of listener counts and streams. It's a catalyst for unhealthy comparisons. It creates misleading metrics like monthly listeners and incentivizes people to cheat so that they can inflate the perception of popularity. Damn. Let's just get to that right there, right? So the conversation around music and numbers have been a thing for a minute. It didn't just start when DSPs happened. When Spotify was the first one to put that up though, it changed a lot. But let's go back to that Piff. I remember that Piff. If you had like 50,000 listens, they used to incentivize it. You was gold on that Piff or platinum on that Piff, right? Now, at the time, that Piff even seemed, it was good when that Piff did it only because it was kind of like it was a measuring factor for how much people was paying attention to whatever mixtape you was putting out. I could say that from an artist, from the artist I was managing back at that time. Now, what Spotify does, I mean, I do believe that it is very divisive, and that's just their marketing, right? I think that's their marketing, specifically with rap. I don't know how it works in rock. I don't know how it works in anything else, but with rap specifically, it makes people think they're better than what they are. Perception is reality and how people hear stuff. I've literally seen kids say, yo, how many streams it did? And then say, oh, it probably ain't good because it ain't did X amount of streams. Now, I agree with Russ when it comes to perception of popularity, because the obvious thing is to believe that a person that has a lot of numbers, a whole lot of numbers, that they killing. But at the same time, you could cook them numbers. Facts. You could definitely cook them numbers. I mean, everybody's seen the black market with the stream farms and all that. I don't know if that's how they actually do it, but I know for a fact that there has been companies that you can pay to inflate your streams. Now, the perception is no different than pulling up to the club in a Ferrari. You pull up, you go to Miami for a weekend, you rent your Ferrari because that's what you can afford to do. You could afford to rent it, you can't afford to buy one, but you afford to rent a Ferrari. You pull up to that club, yeah, shorty that's in town that don't know no better, she gonna hop right in. You wanna know why? Perception. That Ferrari says to her, oh, he got paper. You know what I'm saying? Or even, it works both ways in that sense. You know what I mean? It works both ways in that sense. It's no different than how dudes complain about how chicks be on Instagram, they have all these numbers and all of that, and then they be bad people. Like, numbers is something that in the social media era has kind of become a social status thing more than anything. Followers and likes, engagement, right? That engagement that everybody be bragging about or paying for. And this is the crazy thing about it too. All the TikToks, Instagram, it used to be a point in time with Instagram, if you had a certain amount of followers, when you posted something, the engagement reflected that, right? Like, remember the first couple of times you would post a picture and you have a few thousand followers and a few thousand people will actually see your picture, then you have hundreds of thousands of followers, or you have even more than 100, I mean less than 100,000. Let's say you got 30,000, 40,000, and you post a picture and nobody engages. Is because that same set engagement that they was giving you for free, they now turned it into a metric system for them to make you pay for it. They incentivize it with engagement trophies and shit. Like, who cares about an engagement trophy? Oh, knock down these 3 things or knock down these 10 things and then you'll get more. You like you playing a video game. This ain't no video game. It's social media. But they've been able to take that power out of the people's hands. So let's just go on more with Russ is talking about. It says, hiding the numbers will reduce the pressure to compete in the inauthentic metrics and on inauthentic metrics and encourage a focus on the music itself. Look at Apple Music. There's zero convos about how the music is performing or if the streams are fake. But because you don't know, laughing my ass off, as it should be. Now, 2 things is true in this statement. I don't think that it really encourages people to do more on the music side. I think people that actually care about music are always going to push for the music. But music has become this easy ass entry. It's like the club. Remember the club we used to have a dress code, or used to have like, yo, if you could only get in here, we only letting people in who's getting table service. The social media and music is everybody could get in the club now. Everybody could sit in the same seat or sit right next to each other, because the person who has absolutely no engagement, well, not no engagement, excuse me, the person who might not have as much talent as the next person and just playing around with it, not taking it serious, just doing whatever music or doing something silly and throwing music behind it, now sits next to the person who's the artist that's been doing this shit for years. And it's this term that people always use. Oh, that's popping on TikTok. What the hell is that supposed to mean? It's a lot of things that are popping on TikTok. And why are they popping on TikTok? They popping on TikTok because people find out a way how to create some engagement within a certain amount of seconds. I seen a video of Mr. Beast explaining about why the first 20 seconds of your YouTube or the first 20 seconds of anything you do socially is so important.
Title and thumbnail set expectations, and at the very beginning of the video, to minimize drop-off, you want to assure them that those expectations are being met. If you click on a video where, of his, where it's like, Tether is a scam, and then at the very beginning he starts talking about literally anything else, then you are like, oh, this is bullshit. This isn't what I clicked on. But if at the very start of the video you go, Tether is a scam, and I'm going to teach you why, then it's like, okay, you match the expectations. So at the very beginning, match the expectations, and then you want to exceed them. So you want to assure people that what they clicked on is what they're getting, and then blow their mind and be like, but you're also getting even more.
And when I seen that, I started thinking, I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it's turned into, even down to YouTube. There was a point in time where, like, you could just put stuff on YouTube and it would get numbers. I remember, like, my first YouTube channel was originally, it just was Wayno 118, because I live between the cross streets of 118 and 119. That's why it's always been 118 or 119. But my Wayno 118 page, right? I remember posting up a picture of my son on Mother's Day when he was a baby, just saying Happy Mother's Day, and it got a lot of views. Like, you know what I mean? It got a bunch of views. Or I had posted like something that had happened in Philly one time and it got a lot of views, because that was the time when they wasn't using all these algorithms and tricks and all of that so that they could control what cuts through and what doesn't. That's why it's like you got to be so consistent nowadays with whatever it is you're doing, because it's not just as simple as just uploading it. Before, you could just upload it and they would show it to the people you're showing it to you for. Now it's like we need more people using whatever the platform is to make things go. And like I said, the person that's on TikTok, oh, it's popping on TikTok. What do that mean? Because 15 seconds of it is popping means that it's going to translate. There's been a lot of artists that's come across my desk with me being an executive and that TikTok conversation come up. Little gnat flying around here. That TikTok conversation come up. And it's like, all right, oh, it's popping on such and such. All right, what do that mean though? Like, what does that actually mean? I signed the artist one time because one thing I understand about music business is that it's business. So you got to do everything. I was having this conversation with my guy, Justice from LVRN, and I was telling him about the dilemma I was facing with signing somebody that's talented and signing somebody that's just doing anything and they catch a little bit of fire. And he was like, yo, an executive told me one time that you got to do everything. And he was like, because if you hold out on signing something, you miss out on something that could possibly pay the bills. Now, everybody got to keep a job. That's what people don't talk about when it comes to A&Rs. People don't ever want to talk about how the A&R got a job the same way the artists want to have a career, the A&R want to have a career, and they deal with insupported artists. All right, I'm going on a tangent. I don't want to go down that hole. So, pause. That was crazy. But he continues to say, it's nobody's business how the music is performing outside of the artist and their team. We live in a weird time where everyone feels entitled to know everybody's business because of social media. Yes, Russ, you is absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And it's a gift and a curse, yo, because there was a point in time where we didn't know who our favorite artists were dating. We didn't know the problems that they had in their lives. We didn't know all of these things. We just totally leaned into the music because if they were dealing with certain things, we had to listen to the music in order to discover. And it's been this way for a minute. I feel like there's so many different variables that you could add into something like this as to why it is the way it is. Think back to Flavor of Love. if you that old. You know what I mean? Some of y'all might have been born the year Flavor of Love came out, because that's almost 20 years ago. You know what I mean? But think about Flavor of Love. And I remember, see, for myself growing up, Flavor Flav was an artist. He was a part of Public Enemy, one of the best rap groups and socially conscious groups when it came to making music. People looked at Flavor Flav as like some joke in today's time because of what he did in reality TV. You know what I'm saying? He was up there doing all types of silly shit every day, doing all types of silly stuff, acting out. He was what people perceived him to be. Because I think, like, looking at Flavor Flav when I was a kid, people perceived him to be this crazy wild card to the group. But who he was like a caricature of the stereotypes of what people looked at as black people. You know what I mean? He kind of was a character in that space. But Flavor of Love, then you got all types of other reality TV. You had the Bad Girls Club, Baddies, Real Housewives of every state you could think of, Mob Wives, Love and Hip Hop, where Love and Hip Hop is a lot of perception. A lot of it does not show actual business in hip hop, but it's enough to get people invested, right? And the drama is always what people invested in. But we've been in this era for a minute, and I mean, it's not turning back. You do have the artists that do emphasize on the music, and they do very well. But I get where he's coming from, because even with Russ will go perform 3 or 4 or 5 shows in stadiums, you know what I mean? Like arenas, not stadiums, arenas. I can't say I seen him perform at a stadium. I seen him perform at arenas though. 20,000 people singing Russ song word for word, hands up in the air, lights blaring, everybody showing love, and they still try to diminish it to, you remember the last video I talked about this type of stuff, or it's not playing in the club. So it kind of puts people in this space where the perception of numbers makes people think that the person that's playing in a club supersedes the person that has the hard ticket sales, and it don't work like that. We talked about the club before. It's a short amount of time, and people spend that short amount of time intoxicated, which if you like to get intoxicated, that's on you. I ain't tripping. I don't do that. You know what I mean? I don't be getting intoxicated. But it gives this false gauge as to this actual success. Now, with that also being said, that doesn't mean that people who play in the club aren't successful. I'm pretty sure if we go through the hottest topic you could go into right now is like a Boss Man D-Lo. Boss Man D-Lo got a lot of songs that run the club. A lot of songs that run the club. Now, I don't know what his touring data is. I don't know if Boss Man D-Lo sells out House of Blues at 5,000 a pop, or if he could sell 7,500 tickets in every venue he's in. Now, what he can do though is when he's doing those, you know, those Chitlin circuit shows where they do an arena that might be 15,000 people, it'd be 15,000 people in there that'll come for a show, but it's a cumulative show with a bunch of other people on the bill, and then he may be the headliner, as opposed to just 7,500 or even 5,000, 3,000 people showing up in a small set venue just for that person. That's the difference, right? And I think that's what, you know, Russ is alluding to. He didn't say nothing about Boss Man D-Lo, so please don't clip that and run with that. But he's just making a point of how, you know, perception ruins the reality. Because you also get, and I've seen it, listen, doing media. I done been, you know, I host a lot of festivals. I done been at the festival, and artists, whomever is hot at the moment, then walk backstage and people said what up to him, and he walk off or she walk off and act like, and then you see them next year and they ain't on the bill. They rolling with somebody else entourage, or 2 years later. You could fill up a room with how many people is not even one hit wonders, one moment wonders, because a lot of the songs that people be making don't be hits, they just be moments. Now, he finishes it with saying, I get it though, from Spotify perspective, having the numbers public makes it a sport, which in turn drives engagement, et cetera, which again, I already said that to agree with him, you know what I'm saying? It is like their marketing. I think that Spotify's whole thing is marketing, even to how they do the classes of the, you know, the rookies of the year. Then they do like the all teams, like the all, almost like an all NBA or all, you know, NFL type teams of the top artists to the mid-tier artists. And I think what's good about that is for the up-and-coming artists, it does give people something to aspire to do or something to aspire to be on. I'm not mad at people making lists. You know what I'm saying? B-Dot make his list every year. I get everybody up in arms about that shit. But I'm not mad at lists being made because, like, lists, now that I'm doing a lot of stuff that I'm doing, I want to show people what it is that I appreciate. If y'all been watching the shorts I've been doing, talking about like just verses of the year, songs that I like, I wanted to do that just to give y'all a kind of insight of what a playlist from me could possibly be like. All of them songs might not be on a playlist, but the reason why I do that is because I want people to say, oh, I didn't know Wayno was up on Navy Blue, or I didn't know Wayno like Hurricane Wisdom, or I didn't know Wayno like Laser Dim. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want people to just know, or I want to appreciate the stuff that I like. And some of that comes in the form of the list. Some of that comes in the form of people talking about the numbers. Now, I do say this though. When it comes to the number conversation, they do not tell a story. Jay-Z got famous for saying, or he made a line famous for saying, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. That was a long ass time ago. Numbers been lying for a minute now. You know what I'm saying? Because the numbers is all about to trick things. It was really used to trick engagement, to say, oh no, it's popping, look. Like, somebody has sent me someone's YouTube. They got 250,000 views. And even with the content creators, because they be using trick numbers too. They got 250,000 views on a episode, or 200,000 views, and it's only 40 people in the comments. 40 people in the comments. 200,000 views doesn't mean 200,000 people, but if you got a video and people are engaged with your platform and you do 200,000 views and only 40 people care enough to say something, something is up. Like, that ass, something is up. But ultimately, I agree with Russ. Unfortunately, Russ, ain't shit we could do about that. That's going to continue on. People can continue to trick the numbers, play around, do whatever it is what they do. I think that if you care about music, stay rooted in the music, because when you see all of the people that's successful, whether even when you look at the Grammys, right? Like, the Grammys is not the best gauge of rap music, but if you look at even the other genres and you be like, damn, how they get nominated for a Grammy? Go look at what they doing. It's a lot of people that, like, I done seen on the Grammys that I didn't know about, and I'm like, all right, let me go check out their music. And then I go check out their music, and I'm like, damn, they got some really good songs, and they tour really well. You go on their Instagram, some of their Instagrams ain't even lit like that, but, you know what I'm saying, they making music that people care about in their wheelhouse, the music that they providing. And right now, if you got great marketing and you got strategy, you can sell anything. If you consistent, great marketing and strategy, you can sell anything. You feel me? But also, if you ain't got the numbers as an artist, don't feel discouraged. The other day I did or You Will Be Judged. It was an artist that came on there. He didn't have a lot of numbers, but when I tell y'all, his music was some of the best music that we played on You Will Be Judged. It was fun. But yeah, don't get discouraged if you don't got the numbers yet. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, they put you in these tricky ass systems and ways to get you to work more, to kind of be a slave to basically whatever platform you on, in order to get a smidget out of what it is that you're doing, and to build that into more. I mean, if you're gonna keep pushing for it, keep pushing for it. I ain't knocking it if that's your path. This is I do of myself. For the ones that rock me, you know how we doing. For the ones that don't, eventually will. I catch you on the next one. Peace.